Hello and welcome back to the reading of the Holy Bible. We are continuing through Exodus, and this week we are doing chapters 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Offerings for making the tabernacle. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, that they bring first fruits to me of every man that offereth of his own accord. You shall take them. First fruits, an example, offerings of some of the best and choicest of their goods. And these are the things you must take: gold and silver and brass, violet and purple and scarlet twice dyed, and fine linen and goat's hair, and ram skins dyed red, and violet skins and sedum wood. Sedum wood, the wood of a tree that grows in the wilderness, which is said to be incorruptible. Oil to make lights, spices for ointment, and for sweet-smelling incense. Onyx stones and precious stones to adorn the ephod and the rational. And they shall make me a sanctuary, and I will dwell in the midst of them, according to all the likeness of the tabernacle which I will show thee, and all the vessels for the service thereof, and thus you shall make it. Description of the ark. Frame an ark of sedum wood, the length whereof shall be of 2 cubits and a half, the breadth a cubit and a half, the height likewise a cubit and a half. And thou shalt overlay it with the purest gold within and without, and over it thou shalt make a golden crown round about, and 4 golden rings, which thou shalt put at the 4 corners of the ark. Let 2 rings be on the one side, and 2 on the other. Thou shalt make bars also of sedum wood, and shalt overlay them with gold. And thou shalt put them in through the rings that are in the sides of the ark, that it may be carried on them. And they shall be always in the rings, neither shall they at any time be drawn out of them. And thou shalt put in the ark the testimony which I will give thee. The preparatory. Thou shalt make also a preparatory of the purest gold. The length thereof shall be 2 cubits and a half, and the breadth a cubit and a half. Thou shalt make also 2 cherubims of beaten gold on the 2 sides of the oracle. Let 1 cherub be on the one side, and the other on the other. Verse 17, a preparatory. The covering for the ark. It was called a propitiatory, or mercy seat, because the Lord, who was supposed to sit there upon the wings of the cherubims, with the ark for his footstool, from there showed mercy. It is also called the oracle, verse 18 and 20, because from there God gave his orders and his answers. Let them cover both sides of the propitiatory. I apologize, by the way. Spreading their wings and covering the oracle, and let them look one towards the other. The faces being turned towards the propitiatory, wherewith the ark is to be covered, in which thou shalt put the testimony that I will give thee. Thence will I give orders, and will speak to thee over the propitiatory, and from the midst of the 2 cherubims, which shall be upon the ark of the testimony, all things which I will command the children of Israel by thee. Table for loaves of proposition. Thou shalt make a table also of sedum wood, of 2 cubits in length, and a cubit in breadth, and a cubit and a half in height. And thou shalt overlay it with the purest gold, and thou shalt make to it a golden ledge round about, and to the ledge itself a polished crown, 4 inches high, and over the same another little golden crown. Thou shalt prepare also 4 golden rings, and shalt put them in the 4 corners of the same table over each foot. Under the crown shall the golden rings be, that the bars may be put through them, and the table may be carried. The bars also themselves thou shalt make of sedum wood, and shalt overlay them with gold to bear up the table. Thou shalt prepare also dishes and bowls, censers and cups, wherein the libations are to be offered of the purest gold, and thou shalt set upon the table of proposition in my sight always. Libations. An example, drink offerings. The golden candlestick. Thou shalt make also a candlestick of beaten work of the finest gold, the shaft thereof, and the branches, the cups, and the bowls, and the lilies going forth from it. A candlestick. This candlestick with its 7 lamps, which was always to give light in the house of God, was a figure of the light of the Holy Ghost, and his 7-fold grace in the sanctuary of the church of Christ. 3 cups as it were nuts to every branch, and a bowl withal, and a lily, and 3 cups likewise of the fashion of nuts in the other branch, and a bowl withal, and a lily. Such shall be the work of the 6 branches that are to come out from the shaft. And in the candlestick itself shall be 4 cups in the manner of a nut, and at every one bowls and lilies, bowls under 2 branches in 3 places, which together make 6 coming forth out of one shaft. And both the bowls and the branches shall be of the same beaten work, of the purest gold. Thou shalt make also 7 lamps, and shalt set them upon the candlestick to give light over against. The snuffers also, and where the snuffings shall be put out, shall be made of the purest gold. The whole weight of the candlestick with all the furniture thereof shall be a talent of the purest gold. Look and make it according to the pattern which that was shown thee in the mount. Chapter 26. Curtains for the tabernacle. And thou shalt make the tabernacle in this manner. Thou shalt make 10 curtains of fine twisted linen, in violet and purple and scarlet twice dyed, diversified with embroidery. The length of one curtain shall be 28 cubits, the breadth shall be 4 cubits, and the curtains shall be of one measure. The 5 curtains shall be joined one to another, the other 5 shall be coupled together in like manner. Thou shalt make loops of violet in the sides and tops of the curtains, that they may be joined one to another. Every curtain shall have 50 loops on both sides, so set on that one loop may be against another loop, and one may be fitted to the other. Thou shalt make also 50 rings of gold, wherewith the veils of the curtains are to be joined, that it may be made one tabernacle. Thou shalt make also 11 curtains of goat hair, to cover the top of the tabernacle. The length of one hair curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth 4. The measure of all the curtains shall be equal. 5 of which thou shalt couple by themselves, and the 6 others thou shalt couple one to another, so as to double the 6th curtain in the front of the roof. Thou shalt make also 50 loops in the edge of one curtain, that it may be joined with the other, and 50 loops in the edge of the other curtain, that it may be coupled with its fellow. Thou shalt make also 50 buckles of brass, wherewith the loops may be joined, that of all there may be made one covering, and that which shall remain of the curtains that are prepared for the roof, to wit, one curtain that is over and above, with the half thereof, thou shalt cover the back parts of the tabernacle, and there shall hang down a cubit on the one side and another on the other side, which is over and above in the length of the curtains, fencing both sides of the tabernacle. Thou shalt make also another cover to the roof of ram's skins, dyed red, and over that again another cover of violet-colored skins. Boards of sedum wood for the tabernacle. Thou shalt make also the boards of the tabernacle standing upright of sedum wood. Let every one of them be 10 cubits in length, and in breadth 1 cubit and a half. In the sides of the boards shall be made 2 mortices, whereby one board may be joined to another board, and after this manner shall all the boards be prepared, of which 20 shall be in the south side southward, for which thou shalt cast 40 sockets of silver, that under every board may be put 2 sockets at the 2 corners. In the second side also the tabernacle that looketh to the north, there shall be 20 boards. Having 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets shall be put under each board. But on the west side of the tabernacle thou shalt make 6 boards, and again other 2 which shall be erected in the corners at the back of the tabernacle, and they shall be joined together from beneath unto the top, and one joint shall hold them all. The like joining shall be observed for the 2 boards also that are to be put in the corners. They shall be in all 8 boards, and their silver sockets 16, reckoning 2 sockets for each board. Bars for the boards of the tabernacle. Thou shalt make also 5 bars of sedum wood, to hold together the boards on one side of the tabernacle, and 5 others on the other side, and as many at the west side, and they shall be put along by the midst of the boards from one end to the other. The boards also themselves thou shalt overlay with gold, and shalt cast rings of gold to be set upon them, for the places of the bars to hold together the boardwalk, which bars thou shalt cover with plates of gold. And thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to the pattern that was shown thee in the mount. Veils for the Holy of Holies. Thou shalt make also a veil of violet and purple and scarlet twice dyed, in fine twisted linen wrought with embroidered work and goodly variety. And thou shalt hang it up before 4 pillars of sedum wood, which themselves also shall be overlaid with gold, and shall have heads of gold, but sockets of silver. And the veil shall be hanged on with rings, and within it thou shalt put the ark of the testimony, and the sanctuary, and the Holy of Holies shall be divided with it. Arrangement of furnishings of the tabernacle. The sanctuary. An example. That part of the tabernacle which was outside the veil, into which the priest daily entered. It is here called the sanctuary, or holy place, that part which was within the veil, into which no one but the high priest ever went, and he but once a year is called the Holy of Holies. Arrangement of furnishings of the tabernacle. And thou shalt set the propitiatory upon the ark of the testimony, and the Holy of Holies, and the table without the veil, and over against the table the candlestick on the south side of the tabernacle. For the table shall stand in the north side. Thou shalt make also hanging in the entrance of the tabernacle of violet and purple and scarlet twice dyed, and fine twisted linen with embroidered work. And thou shalt overlay with gold 5 pillars of sedum wood, before which the hanging shall be drawn. Their heads shall be of gold, and the sockets of brass. Chapter 27, the altar. Thou shalt make also an altar of sedum wood, which shall be 5 cubits long, and is... Chapter 27, the altar. Thou shalt also make an altar of sedum wood, which shall be 5 cubits long, and as many broad, that is 4 square and 3 cubits high. And there shall be horns at the 4 corners of the same, and thou shalt cover it with brass. And thou shalt make for the uses thereof pans to receive the ashes and tongs, and flesh hooks and fire pans. All its vessels thou shalt make of brass. And a grate of brass in manner of a net, at the 4 corners of which shall be 4 rings of brass, which thou shalt put under the hearth of the altar, and the grate shall be even to the midst of the altar. Thou shalt make also 2 bars for the altar of sedum wood, which thou shalt cover with plates of brass, and thou shalt draw them through rings, and they shall be on both sides of the altar to carry it. Thou shalt not make it solid, but empty and hollow in the inside, as it was shown thee in the mount. Court of the tabernacle. Thou shalt make also the court of the tabernacle. In the south side whereof southward there shall be hangings of fine twisted linen, of 100 cubits long for one side, and 20 pillars with as many sockets of brass, the heads of which their engraving shall be of silver. In like manner, also on the north side there shall be hangings of 100 cubits long, 20 pillars, and as many sockets of brass, and their heads with their engravings of silver. But in the breadth of the court that looketh to the west, there shall be hangings of 50 cubits and 10 pillars, and as many sockets. In that breadth also the court which looketh to the east, there shall be 50 cubits, in which there shall be for one side hangings of 15 cubits, and 3 pillars, and as many sockets. And in the other side there shall be hangings of 15 cubits, with 3 pillars and as many sockets. And in the entrance of the court there shall be made a hanging of 20 cubits, of violet and purple, and scarlet twice dyed, and fine twisted linen, with embroidered work. It shall have 4 pillars with as many sockets. All the pillars of the court round about shall be garnished with plates of silver, silver heads, and sockets of brass. In length the court shall take up 100 cubits, in breadth 50. The height shall be of 5 cubits, and it shall be made of fine twisted linen, and shall have sockets of brass. All the vessels of the tabernacle for all uses and ceremonies, and the pins both of it, and of the court, thou shalt make of brass. Oil for the lamp of the tabernacle. Command the children of Israel that they bring thee the purest oil of the olives, and beaten with a pestle, that a lamp may burn always, in the tabernacle of the testimony, without the veil that hangs before the testimony. And Aaron and his sons shall order it, that it may give light before the Lord until the morning. It shall be a perpetual observance throughout their successions among the children of Israel. Chapter 28, Vestments of the Priest. Take unto thee also Aaron thy brother with his sons from among the children of Israel, that they may minister to me in the priest office. Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. And thou shalt make a holy vesture for Aaron thy brother, for a glory and for beauty. And thou shalt speak to all the wise of heart, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's vestments, in which he, being consecrated, may minister to me. And these shall be the vestments that they shall make: a rational and an ephod, a tunic and a straight linen garment, a mitre and a girdle. They shall make the holy vestments for thy brother Aaron and his sons. that they may do the office of priesthood unto me. And they shall take gold and violet and purple and scarlet twice dyed and fine linen. The ephod. And they shall make the ephod of gold and violet and purple and scarlet twice dyed and fine twisted linen, embroidered with divers colors. It shall have the two edges joined in the top of both sides, that they may be close together. The very workmanship also, and all the variety of the work, shall be of gold and violet and purple and scarlet twice dyed, and fine twisted linen. And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones, and shalt grave on them the names of the children of Israel, 6 names on one stone, and the other 6 on the other, according to the order of their birth. With the work of an engraver and the graving of a jeweler, thou shalt engrave them with the names of the children of Israel, set in gold and compassed about. And thou shalt put them in both sides of the ephod, a memorial for the children of Israel, and Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord upon both shoulders, for remembrance. The rationale of judgment. Thou shalt make also hooks of gold, and 2 little chains of the purest gold linked one to another, which thou shalt put into the hooks. And thou shalt make the rationale of judgment with embroidered work of divers colors, according to the workmanship of the ephod of gold, violet, and purple, and scarlet twice dyed, and fine twisted linen. Chapter 28, verse 15. The rationale of judgment. An example. The priest's breastplate. It was so called partially because it admonished both priests and people of their duty to God by carrying the names of all their tribes in his presence, and partially because it contained the Urim and Thummim, 2 sacred objects through which God gave answers and oracles. It shall be 4 square and doubled. It shall be the measure of a span both in length and in breadth. And thou shalt set in it 4 rows of stones, and the first row shall be a sardius stone, and a topaz, and an emerald, and the second a carbuncle, a sapphire, and a jasper, and the third a ligarius, an agate, and an amethyst, and the fourth a chrysolite, an onyx, and a beryl. They shall be set in gold by their rows, and they shall have the names of the children of Israel. With 12 names shall they be engraved, each stone with the name of one according to the 12 tribes. And thou shalt make on the rational chains, linked one to another of the purest gold, and 2 rings of gold, which thou shalt put in the 2 ends at the top of the rationale. And the golden chains thou shalt join to the rings that are in the ends thereof, and the ends of the chains themselves thou shalt join together with 2 hooks on both sides of the ephod, which is towards the rationale. Thou shalt make also 2 rings of gold, which thou shalt put in the top parts of the rationale and the borders that are over against the ephod, and look towards the back parts thereof. Moreover, also other 2 rings of gold, which are to be set on each side of the ephod, beneath, that looketh towards the neither joining, that the rationale may be fitted with the ephod, and may be fastened by the rings thereof, until the rings of the ephod with a violet fillet, that the joining artificially wrought may continue, and the rationale and the ephod may be loosed one from the other. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel, and the rationale of judgment upon his breast, wherein he shall enter into the sanctuary, a memorial before the Lord forever. And thou shalt put in the rationale of judgment, doctrine, and truth, which shall be on Aaron's breast when he shall go in before the Lord, and he shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel on his breast in the sight of the Lord always. Doctrine and truth. In Hebrew, Urim and Thummim. These words seem to signify the light of doctrine and the integrity of life with which the priest of God ought to approach him. Tunic of the ephod. And thou shalt make the tunic of the ephod all of violet, in the midst whereof above shall be a hole for the head, and a border round about it woven, as is wont to be made in the outmost parts of garments, that it may not easily be broken. And beneath at the feet of the same tunic round about thou shalt make as it were pomegranates of violet and purple, and scarlet twice dyed, with little bells set between, so that there shall be a golden bell and a pomegranate. And again another golden bell and a pomegranate, and Aaron shall be vested with it in the office of his ministry, that the sound may be heard when he goeth in and cometh out of the sanctuary, in the sight of the Lord, and that he may not die. Plate of the mitre. Thou shalt make also a plate of the purest gold, wherein thou shalt grave with engraver's work, holy to the Lord, and thou shalt tie it with a violet fillet, and it shall be upon the mitre, hanging over the forehead of the high priest, and Aaron shall bear the iniquities of these things, which the children of Israel have offered and sanctified, in all their gifts and offerings. And the plate shall be always on his forehead, that the Lord may be well pleased with them. Other priestly vestments. And thou shalt gird the tunic with fine linen, and thou shalt make a fine linen mitre, and a girdle of embroidered work. Moreover, for the sons of Aaron, thou shalt prepare linen tunics and girdles and mitres for glory and beauty. And with all these things thou shalt vest Aaron, thy brother, and his sons with him. And thou shalt consecrate the hands of them all, and shalt sanctify them, that they may do the office of priesthood unto me. Thou shalt make also linen breeches to cover the flesh of their nakedness, from the reins to the thighs, and Aaron and his sons shall use them when they go into the tabernacle of the testimony, or when they approach to the altar to minister in the sanctuary, lest being guilty of iniquity they die. It shall be a law forever to Aaron and to his seed after him. Chapter 29, Consecration of Priests. And thou shalt also do this, that they may be consecrated to me in priesthood. Take a calf from the herd and 2 rams without blemish, and unleavened bread and a cake without leaven, tempered with oil, wafers also unleavened, anointed with oil. Thou shalt make them all of wheat and flour, and thou shalt put them in a basket and offer them and the calf and the 2 rams. And thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons to the door of the tabernacle to the testimony. And when thou hast washed the father and his sons with water, thou shalt clothe Aaron with his vestments, that is, with the linen garment and the tunic, and the ephod and the rational, which thou shalt which thou shalt gird with the girdle. And thou shalt put the mitre upon his head, and the holy plate upon the mitre, and thou shalt pour the oil of unction upon his head, and by this rite shall be consecrated. Thou shalt bring his sons also, and shalt put on them the linen tunics, and gird them with a candle. Gird them with a girdle, to wit, Aaron and his children, and thou shalt put mitres upon them, and they shall be priests to me by a perpetual ordinance. Sacrifice of the calf. After thou shalt have consecrated their hands, thou shalt present also the calf before the tabernacle of the testimony, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands upon his head. And thou shalt kill him in the sight of the Lord before the door of the tabernacle of the testimony. And taking some of the blood of the calf, thou shalt put it upon the horns of the altar. With thy finger, and the rest of the blood thou shalt pour at the bottom thereof. Thou shalt take also all the fat that covereth the entrails and the caul of the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and shalt offer a burnt offering upon the altar. But the flesh of the calf, and the hide, and the dung, thou shalt burn abroad without the camp, because it is for sin. Sacrifice of 2 rams. Thou shalt take also 1 ram, upon the head whereof Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands. And when thou hast killed him, thou shalt take of the blood thereof, and pour round about the altar. And thou shalt cut the ram in pieces, and having washed his entrails and feet, thou shalt put them upon the flesh that is cut in pieces, and upon his head. And thou shalt offer the whole ram for a burnt offering upon the altar. It is an oblation to the Lord, a most sweet savor of the victim of the Lord. Thou shalt take also the other ram, upon whose head Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands. And when thou hast sacrificed him, thou shalt take of his blood, and put upon the tip of the right ear of Aaron and of his sons, and upon the thumbs and great toes of their right hand and foot, and thou shalt pour the blood upon the altar round about. And when thou hast taken of the blood that is upon the altar, and of the oil of unction, thou shalt sprinkle Aaron and his vesture, his sons and their vestments, and after they and their vestments are consecrated, thou shalt take the fat of the ram, and the rump, and the fat that covereth the lungs, and the caul of the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and the right shoulder, because it is the ram of consecration. And 1 roll of bread, a cake tempered with oil, a wafer out of the basket of unleavened bread, which is set in the sight of the Lord. Thou shalt put all upon the hands of Aaron and of his sons, and shalt sanctify them, elevating before the Lord. And thou shalt take all from their hands, and shalt burn them upon the altar for a holocaust, a most sweet savor in the sight of the Lord, because it is his oblation. Thou shalt take also the breast of the ram, wherewith Aaron was consecrated and elevating it, thou shalt sanctify it before the Lord, and it shall fall to thy share. And thou shalt sanctify both the consecrated breast and the shoulder that thou didst separate of the ram, wherewith Aaron was consecrated, and his sons, and they shall fall to Aaron's share, and his sons, by perpetual right from the children of Israel, because they are the choicest and the beginnings of their peace victims which they offer to the Lord. Vesture of Aaron shall descend to his sons, and the holy vesture which Aaron shall use, his sons shall have after him, that they may be anointed and their hands consecrated in it. He of his sons that shall be appointed high priest in his stead, and that shall enter into the tabernacle of the testimony to minister in the sanctuary, shall wear it 7 days. Food for the priest. And thou shalt take the ram of the consecration, and shall boil the flesh thereof in the holy place, and Aaron and his sons shall eat it. The loaves also that are in the basket they shall eat in the entry of the tabernacle of the testimony, that it may be an atoning sacrifice, and the hands of the offerers may be sanctified. A stranger shall not eat of them, because they are holy, and if they remain of the consecrated flesh, or of the bread till the morning, thou shalt burn the remainder with fire. They shall not be eaten, because they are sanctified. All that I have commanded thee, thou shalt do unto Aaron and his sons. 7 days shalt thou consecrate their hands, and thou shalt offer a calf for sin every day for expiation. And thou shalt cleanse the altar when thou hast offered the victim of expiation, and shalt anoint it to sanctify it. 7 days shalt thou expire the altar and sanctify it, and it shall be most holy. Every one that shall touch it shall be holy. Daily sacrifice of 2 lambs. This is what thou shalt sacrifice upon the altar: 2 lambs of a year old every day continually. 1 lamb in the morning and another in the evening. With 1 lamb 1/10 part of flour tempered with beaten oil, of the 4th part of a hin, and wine for libation, of the same measure. And the other lamb thou shalt offer in the evening, according to the rite of the morning oblation, and according to what we have said, for a savor of sweetness. It is a sacrifice to the Lord by perpetual oblation unto your generations at the door of the tabernacle of the testimony before the Lord, where I will anoint to speak unto thee. And there will I command the children of Israel, and the altar shall be sanctified by my glory. I will sanctify also the tabernacle of the testimony with the altar, and Aaron with his sons, to do the office of priesthood unto me. God's promise to the children of Israel. And I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel, and will be their God, and they shall know that I am the Lord their God, who have brought them out of the land of Egypt, that I might abide among them. I am the Lord their God. Chapter 30, Altar of Incense. Thou shalt make also an altar to burn incense of sodden wood, an altar to burn incense. This burning of incense was a symbol of prayer, according to God from an inflamed heart. See Psalm 140, verse 2, and Apocalypse chapter 5, verse 8, chapter 8, verse 4. It shall be a cubit in length, and another in breadth, that is 4 square and 2 in height. Horns shall go out of the same, and thou shalt overlay it with the purest gold, as well as the grate thereof, as the walls round about, and the horns, and thou shalt make it a crown of gold round about. And 2 golden rings under the crown on either side, that the bars may be put unto them, and the altar be carried. And thou shalt make the bars also of sodden wood, and shalt overlay them with gold. And thou shalt set the altar over against the veil that hangeth before the ark of the testimony, before the propitiatory, wherewith the testimony is covered, where I will speak to thee. And Aaron shall burn sweet-smelling incense upon it in the morning. When he shall dress the lamps, he shall burn it. And when he shall place them in the evening, he shall burn an everlasting incense before the Lord throughout your generations. You shall not offer upon it incense of another composition, nor oblation. And victim neither shall you offer libations. And Aaron shall pray upon the horns thereof once a year, with the blood of that which was offered for sin, and shall make atonement upon it in your generations. It shall be most holy to the Lord. Offering for souls. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, When thou shalt take the sum of the children of Israel according to their number, every one of them shall give a price for their souls to the Lord, and there shall be no scourge among them, and when they shall be reckoned. And this shall every one give that passeth at the naming, half a sickle according to the standard of the temple. A sickle hath 20 obols, half a sickle shall be offered to the Lord. He that is counted in the number from 20 years and upward shall give the price. The rich man shall not add to half a sickle, and the poor man shall diminish nothing. And the money received, which was contributed by the children of Israel, thou shalt deliver unto the uses of the tabernacle of the testimony, that it may be a memorial of them before the Lord, and he may be merciful to their souls. The brazen laver. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Thou shalt make also a brazen laver with its foot to wash in, and thou shalt set it between the tabernacle of the testimony and the altar. And water being put into it, Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and feet in it, when they are going into the tabernacle of the testimony, and when they are to come to the altar to offer on it incense to the Lord, lest perhaps they die. It shall be an everlasting law to him and to his seed by successions. The holy oil of unction. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take spices of principal and chosen myrrh, 500 sickles, and of cinnamons, half so much, that is 250 sickles of calamus. In like manner, 250, and of cassia 500 sickles by the weight of the sanctuary, of oil of olives the measure hin. And thou shalt make the holy oil of unction, an ointment compounded after the art of the perfumer, and wherewith thou shalt anoint the tabernacle of the testimony, and the ark of the testament, and the table with the vessels thereof, the candlestick and furniture thereof, the altars of incense and of holocaust, and all the furniture that belongeth to the service of them. And thou shalt sanctify all, and they shall be most holy. He that shall touch them shall be sanctified. Thou shalt anoint Aaron and his sons, and shalt sanctify them, that they may do the office of priesthood unto me. And thou shalt say to the children of Israel, This oil of unction shall be holy unto me throughout your generations. The flesh of man shall not be anointed therewith, and you shall make none other of the same composition, because it is sanctified, and shall be holy unto you. What man soever shall compound such, and shall give thereof to a stranger, he shall be cut off from his people. Composition of incense. And the Lord said to Moses, Take unto thee spices, stacte and onycha, galbanum of sweet savour, and the clearest frankincense. All shall be of equal weight, and thou shalt make incense compounded by the work of the perfumer, well tempered together and pure, and most worthy of sanctification. And when thou hast beaten all into very small powder, thou shalt set it before the tabernacle of the testimony, in the place where I will appear to thee. Most holy shall this incense be unto you. You shall not make such a composition for your own uses, because it is holy to the Lord. What man soever shall make the like to enjoy the smell thereof, he shall perish out of his people. And that was chapters 26 through 30. Next week, we will be doing chapters 31 through 36, and we will be almost done with Exodus. After that, we will have one more week after next week, and we will be done with Exodus. And then after that, I have a little, since it will be Advent, I'm going to actually want to take a small break from the Old Testament, since we are going to be celebrating Jesus' birth, and we'll be going to the New Testament for the book of Mark, if I'm remembering correctly. Actually, I believe it's the book of Matthew. I think that I am unfortunately misremembering which books happen to come first. I'm going to double check now, and I apologize. Yes, and we will be starting with the book of St. Matthew, because since we are celebrating Jesus' birth, we should give glory to all of the Holy Trinity. Because I was going to say, we know that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the Holy Trinity, makes one God, and God is good all the time. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to continue to read your Bible and learn more about God. You all have a great week, and God bless.